Ever stood in a gun shop aisle and felt paralyzed by specs that sound great on paper, but fail in mud, cold, or a real get-home scramble? This guide cuts the noise. We'll walk through compact, reliable rifles and survival-ready guns that actually work when your SOPs and resupply plans fall apart. Not the flashiest gear, just tools that get the job done. Expect real-world trade-offs: what to carry, what to test, and the single maintenance habit that prevents a bad day. No hype, no hero shots, just hard rules and usable kit. Subscribe to Firearm Standard for field-proven picks, step-by-step test protocols, and gear advice that keeps you ready. Kel-Tec Sub2000 Gen 2. If you've ever tried to carry a full-size rifle in a cramped vehicle or a small pack, you know the pain point the Sub2000 solves. It folds in half and becomes luggage. What makes it more than a neat trick is the logistics payoff. It runs common pistol magazines in popular calibers, so your pistol and carbine can share the same magazines and often the same ammunition. For survival or vehicle stow roles, that commonality is huge. One ammo type, multiple platforms, fewer supply headaches when you're improvising. On the range, the Sub2000 behaves like a straightforward PCC, low recoil, fast follow-ups, and a training curve that's gentle for newer shooters. The folding hinge and polymer construction are the trade-off. You won't get bench rest accuracy, but you will get a usable, repeatable system that's easy to carry and deploy. Practical acceptance testing matters. Verify function across the magazines you actually plan to carry and run endurance cycles. Some mags and specific ammo types can be picky in PCC platforms. Lock in a proven mag/load pairing before you depend on it. Real-world use cases. Vehicle crew served as a quick response rifle, a compact camp rifle that tucks into pack space with sleeping gear, or a shared armory item that pairs with issued pistols so a team can reduce mag counts. Maintenance is simple. Keep the hinge clean, check the locking surfaces, and treat the bolt rails to normal lubrication. If you like the idea of a rifle that lives in a glove box or under a seat but still shoots like a carbine, the Sub2000 deserves a spot on your shortlist. Ruger 10-22 Takedown. Few survival-oriented platforms give you as much practical upside per dollar as the 10-22 Takedown. It's light, quiet with subsonic rounds and a suppressor, and it breaks down in seconds to fit into a small case. Beyond portability, its real strength is the aftermarket. Stocks, triggers, barrels, optics risers, you name it. That means you can take a bone stock trainer and tailor it into a hunting rig, a scout rifle, or a precision small game tool without changing the basic manual of arms. On the training lane, 22 LR is cheap and gentle, which lets you drill fundamentals, sight picture, trigger press, and movement without blowing through a budget. In a survival scenario, that ammo economy matters. The 10-22's relative mechanical simplicity also makes field maintenance easy. A few simple tools, a brush, and basic parts will keep it running. Feeding is reliable with common mags, and the takedown interface returns to zero reliably on decent builds. Still, check your specific unit's repeatability before you rely on optic zero after multiple field takedowns. If you want a single rifle that teaches fundamentals, feeds cheaply, and won't make you choose between a carbine and a compact survival gun, the 10-22 Takedown is hard to beat. Keep spare magazines, a suppression plan if you intend to run quiet, and a simple cleaning kit in the same pouch as the rifle. Henry AR-7. The AR-7 is the archetype of a survival takedown. Barrel, receiver, and stock nest into a buoyant housing that can ride a raft or float in a ditch. It's not a precision tool, but it's built around a real use case, an aircrew or hiker who needs a tiny serviceable rimfire in an emergency. That design focus shows in every detail. The pop-out barrel is quick to rig, the stock serves as the magazine kit stow, and the whole package survives wet conditions better than you'd expect from a plastic tub. Shooting the AR-7 is straightforward. With standard velocities, it's adequate for small game and signaling. The platform's limitations are honest: short barrel, basic sights, and modest accuracy compared with a dedicated bolt action. But the survival metric isn't groups at 100 yards. It's availability, simplicity, and whether the rifle will function after being shoved in a pack for months. In that test, the AR-7 often wins. Best practices: keep a small set of spare magazines and a cleaning rod that fits inside the stock. Test your exact loads for reliable ignition. Some older surplus or cheap 22s can be hit or miss in marginal firing pins. Finally, practice the deploy routine under stress. Assemble, chamber, and make a safe first shot until it's second nature. For anyone who values compact stowage and peerless portability in a survival rifle, the AR-7's design intent checks the right boxes. Savage Axis II XP. The Axis II XP is the kind of rifle that quietly delivers what matters: a solid bolt action, a user-tunable trigger, and a factory-mounted optic that makes the whole package ready for the field out of the box. Savage's adjustable AccuTrigger is the headline feature here. Set it light enough for clean follow-through without risking accidental discharges, and you get a predictable, repeatable break that lifts practical accuracy well above the price point. That matters in a survival or hunting rifle, where consistent shot placement beats marginally better ballistics delivered by a harder-to-shoot system. Mechanically, the Axis II follows the long-established bolt-action logic: rigid bedding, a timed bolt, and a barrel-receiver pairing that favors repeatable POI. The factory scope and rings are useful, but don't treat the optic as gospel. Zero the rifle with the loads you plan to use and confirm POI at realistic ranges. Savage rifles tend to prefer specific loads, so an acceptance test with 3 to 5 candidate loads will pay off. Pick the one that shows the most consistent group size and acceptable velocity spread, then standardize it for your kit. Handling and ergonomics are functional. The synthetic stock and moderate weight give a stable firing platform that soaks recoil in heftier calibers, while the bolt throw is typically smooth and user-friendly for fast follow-ups if you practice. For survival roles, the Axis II's caliber options matter. Choose a chambering that matches the game and the likely engagement distances. The rifle rewards steady fundamentals: sight picture, controlled breathing, and trigger discipline, so prioritize drills that build repeatable shooting under fatigue and stress. Maintenance is simple. Clean the bore on a schedule that matches local ammo and environment, inspect headspace and action timing if you suspect rough use, and keep the AccuTrigger set and checked after any heavy handling. If you're fielding multiple rifles, document the load that passed acceptance testing and label mags or ammo cans accordingly. In short, the Axis II XP gives you low-cost, low-drama accuracy when you treat it like a tool and run the basic functional checks that make any ironclad plan work. Remington 870 Express. If you need a multi-role tool that handles birdshot, buckshot, slugs, and basic breaching, very few platforms match the Remington 870's utility. The pump action is important. Unlike many semi-autos, a pump tolerates a wider range of ammo types and pressures without gas system tuning or adjustment. That reliability is the reason the 870 has been a service staple for decades. When you need to swap to slugs or back to birdshot in the same mission, the 870's manual of arms keeps you in the fight. Ergonomically, the 870 is straightforward, and that's a feature. The pump stroke gives tactile confirmation of chambering, the action stays serviceable with basic parts, and choke options let you tune spread for the roll: tight chokes for slugs and cylinder, or improved cylinder for close quarters. Training should emphasize reloads, immediate action drills, and tube management. The 870's reload pattern is different from magazine-fed rifle practice, so muscle memory needs to match the tool. On the range and in the field, maintenance is the key to longevity. Keep the action rails clean and lightly lubricated. Inspect the magazine tube and follower for dents or binding, and check the forcing cone and choke threads for erosion if you run slugs regularly. Function check each choke and confirm that your ammo of choice cycles reliably. Some lead or specialty slugs can behave differently in older barrels or with worn extractors. Tactically, the 870 shines in roles that require varied ammunition and simple proven function: rural defense, hunting, vehicle armament, and breaching. It's heavy compared with compact PCCs, but that weight soaks recoil and makes follow-ups surprisingly manageable with proper stance and grip. For teams or owners who want a single gun that covers a broad set of contingencies, the Remington 870 Express remains a top practical pick. Train on its reloads, keep a spare fore-end or spring in the spares kit, and you'll have a rock-solid tool. SKS. The SKS sits in the bring it and forget it category. Its fixed 10-round magazine, on many imports, and long-stroke piston give you a rifle that tolerates neglect, cheap or corrosive ammo, and rough handling far better than many more refined designs. For survival purposes, the SKS's greatest asset is ammunition availability. 7.62 /39 is produced globally and in vast volumes, which keeps price and supply risk lower than many Western rifle calibers in a pinch. Field handling is blunt but effective. Recoil is manageable, sights are basic but serviceable, and the rifle's simplicity lowers the chance that a small parts failure will take it out of action. That said, the SKS is not an accuracy king. Its fixed magazine and older barrel profiles put it in the practical accuracy role rather than precision. If your mission is putting rounds on target reliably inside typical combat or hunting ranges, the SKS does that with minimal fuss. Maintenance notes are straightforward but crucial. Many SKS rifles were originally designed for corrosive primers, so inspect and clean after shooting corrosive ammo to prevent rust. Check the magazine follower and spring tension, and confirm the gas port and piston surfaces are free of carbon and debris when you pull the rifle out of long-term storage. The common upgrades, magazine conversions, improved stocks, modern optics mounts, are available, but treat modifications as mission-specific. Each change adds potential failure points and logistics overhead. Operationally, the SKS rewards acceptance testing and common-sense upkeep. If you value a rifle that lets you train cheaply and feed reliably, and you accept trade-offs in modularity and precision, the SKS is a practical survival or hard-use rifle. Keep spares for the sights, simple hand tools for headspace checks if you field multiple examples, and a known good batch of magazines or conversion kits if you plan to rely on higher capacity feeding. Marlin XT-22. The Marlin XT-22 is the workmanlike bolt-action rimfire that balances accuracy with minimal fuss. Its controlled round feed and solid bedding give consistent point of impact that matters when you're hunting small game or stretching a survival ration. The bolt design is straightforward and forgiving for field stripping, and the stock geometry favors a natural cheek weld even in lightweight models. In practical terms, the XT-22 is a good step up from cheap semi-autos when you want reliable one-shot performance and the best chance of a quick, ethical kill on small game. On the range, the Marlin rewards deliberate shooting. Take time to test 3 common loads and pick the one that groups best from the specific rifle. Rimfires can be picky, and the rifle will tell you its favorite. Use the XT-22 for tasks where minor increases in raw accuracy translate to real gains, longer shots on wary game, or when you need to place a single round through a small opening. Its bolt action also makes it tolerant of a wide range of environmental abuse. Dirt and grit affect it less than tight semi-auto extractors. Maintenance is minimal but important. Wipe the bore after training sessions, keep the bolt track clear, and store the rifle dry. If you want a compact, accurate .22 that won't make you chase dents or feeding quirks, the XT-22 is a solid, practical choice. Savage Model 64F. The Savage 64F earns its spot in any practical kit because it focuses on the basics and does them cheaply and well. It's light enough to carry all day, simple enough for new shooters to learn on, and robust enough to handle thousands of cheap .22 rounds without drama. For training, that means you can run long drills, sight alignment, trigger control, movement, without watching your ammo budget crater. For survival use, it's a reliable small game tool that won't demand exotic parts or specialist tools in the field. Practical fit. Fit a low-power optic or a simple peep sight to get the most from the rifle's inherent accuracy. Keep expectations realistic. Expect practical 25-50-yard performance, not bench rest groups, and choose a single, tested ammo type for both training and field use. Magazines and feeding are generally reliable, but buy at least 2 spare mags and cycle them in acceptance testing so you know which combos work best. Maintenance and spares. A basic cleaning routine, bore brush, light solvent, and a drop of lubricant on the action keeps things running. Check the extractor, magazine lips, and the trigger sear occasionally. These are the small parts most likely to show wear on high-round rifles. Carry a spare firing pin, a roll pin punch, and a compact cleaning rod in your kit. If your goal is inexpensive, repeatable practice, and a simple survival rifle for small game, the 64F gives you a high return for a small investment. Train smart, standardize ammo, and the platform will pay you back in dependability. Henry Lever Action 22. Henry's Lever Action 22s deliver a tactile shooting experience that's both familiar and highly functional. The lever stroke is smooth and repeatable, which makes rapid follow-ups intuitive once you build the motion into your muscle memory. That cadence becomes an advantage in the field. You can deliver quick, accurately placed follow-ups on small game without cycling an awkward bolt or wrestling with a semi-auto malfeed. The tubular magazine pairs naturally with round-nosed .22 hunting loads and tends to be forgiving of varied ammunition, so long as you stick to recommended profiles. For survival work, the Henry shines as a point-and-shoot tool. Its balance and lightweight make it easy to carry on long hikes, and the stock geometry gives a fast cheek weld for quick engagement at typical small-game distances. New shooters benefit from the lever manual of arms because it enforces deliberate manipulations, Loading, chambering, and safe storage become teachable motor skills rather than ad hoc actions under stress. That lowers the new shooter anxiety factor and speeds training. Maintenance is simple but important. Keep the tubular follower and loading gate clean, check the lever cam and pin surfaces for anywhere, and verify sight mounting and retention before a long trip. Use round nose ammunition as specified and cycle a few mags on range drills to confirm function. If you want a comfortable, durable rimfire that rewards steady hands and sensible care, the Henry Lever 22 is built for that role. Stevens Model 3-01. The Stevens 3-01 is the textbook definition of functional minimalism, a single-barrel break-action shotgun that removes nearly every failure point you'd find on more complex designs. That simplicity is an operational strength. There's no gas system to foul, no magazine tube to bind, and very few springs or moving parts to wear out. In austere or long-term storage scenarios, that translates to a weapon that's much more likely to fire after months or years sitting in a cache compared with a heavily tuned semi-auto. Tactically, the 3-01 forces you to think deliberately. It's not a volume tool, it's a one well-placed round tool. Train to make that round count. Practice presentation, sighting, or point shooting at short ranges, and the smooth break-open reload so that your muscle memory supports fast, accurate follow-through. Because the rifle is light and compact, it's easy to carry on patrols or in a pack, and it's often legal in jurisdictions that restrict more configured shotguns. Maintenance is nearly trivial. Wipe the hinge, inspect the locking surface, and keep the barrel bore and exterior protected from corrosion. For storage, a light oil and a dry ventilated container are adequate. Use the Stevens 301 where mission parameters expect a single decisive shot, minimal upkeep, and long-term readiness. In that niche, its design logic is hard to beat. Bottom line, survival gear isn't about the flashiest headline. It's about the rifle that fires when everything else fails. Choose platforms that match your likely scenarios. Simple takedowns and rimfires for training and food, pump shotguns for multi-role loadouts, and rugged semi-autos or AK pattern rifles for austere supply chains. Test the exact ammo and mags you'll carry, run endurance cycles, and standardize a tiny parts kit before you deploy anything. Train the specific drills your tool requires, takedown reassembly, single-shot accuracy, or rapid magazine changes until those actions are reflex. Do those basics and your kit stops being a toy and starts being insurance. Subscribe to Firearm Standard for field-proven picks, clear test protocols, and gear advice that actually saves you time and trouble.